They gave me table 7. The table for people nobody wanted to sit with. What they didn't know was that the woman they had just humiliated was about to be worth $3 billion. Stay till the end, because what happens next will give you chills. The wedding was beautiful. Too beautiful. My sister Bianca had spent every last dollar to make sure of that. Rosewood Manor was one of those old, fancy estates that charged $20,000 just to let you stand on the grass. That price didn't even include the food, the flowers, or anything else. The gardens looked like something from a movie. White roses were everywhere. A string quartet played soft music in the background. It was exactly the wedding Bianca had always dreamed of. And me? I was sitting at table 7. That one seat told me everything about my place in this family. I wasn't at the head table with the closest family. I wasn't even at table 1 with the important guests. I was at table 7, near the back, next to my cousin Tyler, who talked about crypto so much that people ran from him, and my Aunt Rosa, who had been married and divorced 3 times and loved telling every detail to anyone who would listen. Quinn. My mother appeared beside me like she always did, dressed in a mother-of-the-bride gown that probably cost more than most people's rent. Diane always knew how to make an entrance. "There you are," she said. "We've been looking for you. Bianca wants the whole family for pictures." "I'll be right there, Mom. And please, try to smile like a normal person this time. You always look so stiff in photos." Then her eyes moved down to my dress. It was simple. Navy blue. Bought off the rack. "That's what you're wearing?" she asked. "Yes. It's very plain, Quinn. I told you this was a formal wedding." Bianca asked everyone to dress up. "This is dressed up, Mom." She let out a long sigh. The kind of sigh that says more than words ever could. "Well, come on then," she said. "Maybe borrow some jewelry from someone. You look so bare." I followed her toward the photo area, where a wall of white flowers had been set up. Bianca stood there in her wedding dress, white silk and lace, 6 fittings, $40,000. Her husband Craig stood beside her, tugging at his tuxedo collar like it was choking him. Finally, Bianca said the second she saw me. "We've been waiting 20 minutes. The photographer charges by the hour, you know." "Sorry. I was at my assigned table." "You're assigned," she stopped, then laughed. A sharp little laugh. "Oh my gosh, did Mom put you at table 7? That's perfect. Table 7 is where we put people we had to invite but don't actually want to talk to." "Bianca, that's rude," my father said. But he was smiling when he said it. Robert had never once told his golden daughter no. "I'm just being honest, Daddy." Bianca stepped into the middle of the family group, making sure she was the center of every picture. "Okay, everyone, smile. Look happy. This is costing a fortune." We took pictures for 30 minutes straight. Different poses. Different family combinations. Different backgrounds. And through every single one, I stood exactly where I was told, smiled exactly when I was told, and said nothing at all. "Okay, I think we're done with family shots," the photographer finally said. "Let's move to the wedding party." "Yes, thank you," Bianca said. Then she turned to me. "Quinn, you can go back to your table now. We're doing bridal party only." I nodded and turned to walk away. "Wait." My mother grabbed my arm. "Quinn, before you go, Bianca wanted to introduce you to some people. Some employers. Some connections. People who could help you get a real job," my father added. "I have a job, Dad." "Your little internet hobby doesn't count," Bianca said, loud enough for people nearby to hear. Heads started turning. "Mom and Dad have been networking for you. The least you could do is show some gratitude." "I'm not looking for a job." "Well, you should be." Bianca checked her reflection in a nearby window. "Quinn, you're 36 years old. It's time to stop playing pretend businesswoman and get a real career." These people are doing us a favor just by being willing to talk to you. Considering me for what? Mr. Grant, over there, my mother said, pointing to a man in his 50s. He's a senior partner at a marketing company. He said they have an opening for a junior account coordinator. It would be perfect for you. It only pays $55,000, but with no real experience, that's actually very generous. Junior account coordinator, I repeated slowly. Everyone starts somewhere, my father said firmly. You've wasted 15 years playing around with websites. It's time to get real experience. Mr. Grant is willing to interview you as a favor. And Ms. Patel, the woman in the green dress, my mother went on. She owns a PR company. She said she might have something opening up in a few months. Answering phones, filing papers, but it would get your foot in the door. I looked over at Ms. Patel, laughing with a group of guests, looking confident and successful, like someone who had truly built something. I appreciate the thought, I said carefully. But I'm not interested. You're not interested? Bianca's voice went cold. Of course you're not, because you'd rather keep pretending your little online shop is a real business. God, Quinn, when are you going to grow up? Bianca, don't start, Craig murmured. She ignored him completely. No, Craig. Someone has to say it. We've all been tiptoeing around Quinn's little fantasy for years. She turned back to me. You sit in your apartment all day playing on your computer, pretending you're running a company. Meanwhile you're living paycheck to paycheck, driving a car that's falling apart, wearing bargain dresses to weddings because you can't afford better. My car is fine, I said quietly. Your car is 15 years old. It's an embarrassment. And your apartment, when was the last time anyone even visited you there? Never. Because you're too ashamed for anyone to see how you actually live. I'm not ashamed of my apartment. You should be. Mom told me it's in that awful part of downtown. The one with all the, she lowered her voice like she was sharing a secret, questionable people. You could have stayed in the suburbs where it's safe. But no, you had to move to the city for your little business. My mother nodded sadly. We've been so worried, Quinn. Living alone in that dangerous area. Working all hours on this internet thing that never seems to make any real money. When was the last time you took a vacation? When was the last time you bought yourself something nice? I bought a new laptop last month. A laptop for work doesn't count. Bianca's voice was rising now, and more guests were starting to notice. I mean nice things, Quinn. Jewelry. Designer clothes. Things successful people have. Look at Craig and me. We just bought a house in Maple Ridge. 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a gourmet kitchen. That is what success looks like. Not sitting in a studio apartment selling things online. I don't live in a studio. Whatever. The point is, you are wasting your life. You had potential, Quinn. You went to Stanford. You could have done something real with that. Instead you dropped out after 2 years to chase some silly business idea. And 15 years later? What do you have to show for it? Nothing. I wouldn't say nothing. Then name one thing. One real, tangible thing your business has ever done. One thing that proves it's actually a business and not just you pretending. I could have answered. I should have answered. But something stopped me. The same thing that had been stopping me for 15 years, the small, quiet curiosity to see how far they would go. How cruel they were willing to be. I'm happy with what I built, I said simply. Bianca laughed. A harsh, ugly sound. Happy? That's what unsuccessful people say when they've given up trying to actually achieve anything. I'm happy. Well, congratulations on your happiness, Quinn. I hope it keeps you warm in that studio apartment when you're 60 and still haven't done anything with your life. Bianca, that's enough, Craig said, more firmly this time. It's not enough. Someone needs to give her a reality check. Bianca spun around, raising her voice to the crowd of guests who had now completely stopped their conversations to watch us. My sister, Quinn, everyone. She's basically a warning sign. Proof that being smart doesn't guarantee success. She went to one of the best schools in the country and dropped out to sell things on the internet. 15 years later, she's broke, alone, and still pretending she's some kind of businesswoman. I'm not broke, I said quietly. Really? Then why are you wearing a $200 dress to my wedding? Why are you driving a car from 2009? Why couldn't you even afford to stay here at the venue like the rest of the family? Mom said you booked a motel 10 miles away because you couldn't afford the rooms here. I prefer the motel. Of course you do. Just like you prefer your ancient car, your cheap apartment, your bargain rack clothes. Quinn prefers everything that costs less, because Quinn doesn't have any money. My father cleared his throat. Quinn, honey, we're only trying to help. We love you. We want you to be successful. I am successful, Dad. No, sweetheart. You're not. And it's time you faced that. This little internet business, what do you even sell? Pet supplies? Kitchen tools? It's always so vague whenever anyone asks. I run a software company. Bianca snorted. A software company? Please. You sell stuff through a website. That's not a software company, Quinn. That's called being a middleman on the internet. I build software for e-commerce businesses. Companies you've never heard of. Name one client. One real, major client that proves your company is legit. I could have named 20. I could have listed enough names to make her jaw hit the floor. Instead, I smiled and said nothing. See? Bianca pointed at me like she'd won a trial. She can't name anyone, because there is no one. There's no real company. There's just Quinn, sitting in her apartment doing who knows what on her computer, pretending she's a tech entrepreneur. The tech industry is very competitive, my mother added, her voice syrupy sweet. Quinn tried, but she just doesn't have what it takes. And that's okay, sweetheart. Not everyone gets to be a success story. The important thing is you learn from this and move on to something more realistic, which is why we set up these interviews for you. Please talk to Mr. Grant and Ms. Patel, my father urged. Let them help you. It's not too late to start a real career. You're only 36. You could still have a good professional life, if you'd just let go of this fantasy. It's not a fantasy, I said. Then prove it. Bianca was almost shouting now. Prove you're actually successful. Show US bank statements. Show us contracts with real clients. Show us anything that proves you're not just a failure too stubborn to admit it. The garden had gone completely silent. Even the string quartet had stopped playing. Every guest at that wedding was watching us now, staring at the family meltdown unfolding in the middle of the flowers, with a kind of fascinated horror. I never asked you to cover for me, I said quietly. You didn't have to ask. That's what family does. We protect each other. We make excuses for each other. But I'm done, Quinn. I'm done pretending you're not an embarrassment. The word hit the garden like a slap. My mother gasped. Bianca, that's too far. It's not far enough, Mom. Look at her. Look at what she's wearing. Look at her life. She is an embarrassment to this entire family. We have successful people here, Craig's coworkers, my friends, Dad's business partners, and they all know I have a sister who's a failure. They all know about Quinn and her sad little internet shop that never became anything. I think maybe everyone should take a breath, a voice said from behind me. I turned. It was Mr. Grant, the marketing executive my mother had wanted me to meet. He was looking at Bianca with obvious discomfort. This is a wedding, he continued. Maybe family arguments should stay private. With all due respect, this is a private family matter, my father said stiffly. It's not very private anymore, Mr. Grant said, glancing at the 100 guests watching. And I'm not sure I'm comfortable with how this young woman is being spoken to. Quinn is fine, my mother said quickly. We're just having a frank talk about her future. As her parents, that's our right. It doesn't sound like a talk. It sounds like an attack. We're trying to help her, Bianca snapped. She needs tough love. She's been coddled for too long. By whom? Ms. Patel had walked over now, her green dress bright against the garden flowers. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like she's been doing this completely alone, for 15 years, with no support from any of you. You don't understand the situation, my mother said. I understand a family publicly humiliating one of their own at a wedding, Ms. Patel said coolly. That much is very clear. Ms. Patel, please, my father tried. This doesn't concern you. Actually, it does. Because you just told everyone here that I'm supposed to interview her for an entry-level job. Answering phones. Filing papers. Ms. Patel finally looked at me properly, really looked at me, for the first time. Her eyes widened. Quinn Ashford. Wait. I didn't put it together until just now. You're the Quinn Ashford. I said nothing. The Quinn Ashford who founded Vantix Systems. The software platform that's changing e-commerce analytics. The garden seemed to hold its breath. I don't know what you're talking about, my mother said, her voice a little too fast. Vantix Systems, Ms. Patel repeated, louder now, pulling out her phone. One of the fastest growing software companies in tech right now. They build enterprise tools for major retailers. Last I heard, they were valued at over $7 billion. Bianca gave a nervous laugh. That can't be right. Quinn doesn't, she can't. Quinn Ashford. Stanford dropout. Founded Vantix 15 years ago. Ms. Patel scrolled through her phone as she talked. Started in a tiny studio apartment in downtown Seattle. Built the whole thing from nothing, no outside investors. Grew it from zero to a multi-billion-dollar company. There was a big magazine profile on her last year, calling her one of the most successful female entrepreneurs in the entire country. That's impossible, my father said flatly. Is it? Ms. Patel looked straight at me. You're that Quinn, aren't you? Before I could answer, someone gasped nearby. Guests were staring at their phones. Then at me. Then back at their phones. Oh my God, someone whispered. Turn on the TV. The venue had a large television mounted near the bar, usually kept off during weddings. Someone had switched it on. It was tuned to a financial news channel, the kind that covers big business deals as they happen. A banner scrolled across the bottom of the screen, breaking news, major tech acquisition announced. Below it, smaller text read, Vantix Systems valued at $7.2 billion in pending acquisition deal. The reporter was talking fast, excited. A stunning development in the tech world today. Vantix Systems, the enterprise software company founded by entrepreneur Quinn Ashford, has announced it is being acquired by a major online retailer for $7.2 billion in cash and stock. This is one of the largest tech deals of the year. Ashford, who founded Vantix 15 years ago and has kept a remarkably low public profile despite her company's massive success, is expected to remain CEO of the division after the deal closes. Sources close to the deal suggest Ashford's personal net worth could pass $3 billion once the acquisition is complete. The reporter kept talking, but I couldn't hear anything over the sound of my mother's sharp gasp. Every single person in that garden was staring at me now. Not with pity. Not with judgment. With pure, stunned shock. The dawning realization that the sister everyone had just called a failure, an embarrassment, was actually worth $3 billion. Quinn, my father said weakly. Is that you? Yes. But you said you sold things online. No. You said that. I told you I ran a software company. You just never believed me. Bianca had gone completely pale, white as her wedding dress. $7 billion, she whispered. 7.2 is the sale price, I said calmly. My personal share is about 40%. So around 3 billion. Give or take, depending on how the stock is valued when it closes. 3 billion, my mother repeated, like saying it out loud might somehow make it make sense. But, you live in a studio apartment. I live in a penthouse downtown. 3,500 square feet. Floor-to-ceiling windows looking out over the water. I've lived there for 8 years. You would know that if you'd ever visited me. And your car? Bianca whispered. My car is a 2009 sedan because I like it. It's reliable, and I don't care about driving something flashy. I also own 2 other cars, nicer ones. I just prefer the old one for every day. This can't be happening, Bianca whispered to herself. The dress, my mother said, gesturing weakly toward my navy blue outfit. You said it was $200. It is. I don't think spending thousands of dollars on clothes is smart. I have plenty of expensive things. I just don't care to wear them to a garden wedding. Mr. Grant cleared his throat awkwardly. So. I'm guessing you're not interested in the junior coordinator job. No. But thank you for the offer. Ms. Patel was smiling now, a real, genuine smile. And I'm guessing you won't be answering phones at my company either. Probably not. Good. Because that would have been a criminal waste of your talent. She reached out and shook my hand. It's an honor to meet you, Ms. Ashford. I've followed Vantix for years. What you built is extraordinary. Thank you. I appreciate that. The TV kept playing behind us, now showing a photo of me from that magazine profile. A professional picture, taken in my office, the city skyline glowing behind me. I was smiling in that photo, confident, calm, successful. Nothing like the failure my family had spent the last hour describing to 100 strangers. In a rare interview last year, the reporter continued, Ashford spoke about her choice to stay out of the spotlight despite her company's massive success. I don't need the attention, she said. I just want to build good software and solve real problems. Everything else is just noise. The reporter kept going. Vantix Systems currently employs over 3,000 people across 12 offices worldwide. Its software is used by major retailers including some of the biggest names in the country. Analysts say this acquisition could be valued even higher once the deal fully closes. Craig had his phone out now too, scrolling fast, his face pale. It's true. It's all true. Quinn Ashford. Founder and CEO of Vantix Systems. Stanford dropout who built one of the biggest software companies in the industry. There are articles going back years. How did we not know about this? Because you never asked, I said simply. You decided who I was and what I'd accomplished a long time ago. And you never once questioned that decision. But you never told us, my mother said, her voice breaking. You never said you were successful. I tried. So many times. Remember when I invited everyone to Vantix's 5th anniversary party? At that nice hotel downtown? Dad said he wasn't going to waste an evening celebrating my little internet hobby. Remember when I tried to talk about the company at Christmas 3 years ago? Bianca told me to stop boring everyone with my business talk. Remember when I offered to help pay for Mom's kitchen remodel because I knew a good contractor? You told me you didn't want charity from someone who was barely scraping by. My father's face had gone gray. We assumed. You assumed I was a failure. And you liked assuming that, because it made you feel superior. Because it made Bianca's success look even bigger next to me. That's not true, Bianca said, but her voice was shaking now. It is true. You have spent 15 years telling everyone I was an embarrassment. Telling your friends I was a failure. Using me as your favorite cautionary tale. And now you're finding out the failure sister is worth $3 billion. The silence in that garden was total. Even the flowers seemed to be holding still. A man in an expensive suit walked over, someone I vaguely recognized from Craig's side of the family, maybe a business colleague. Excuse me, he said. Are you really Quinn Ashford? The one who built Vantex? I am. I'm Daniel Foster. I'm a venture capitalist. I have been trying to get a meeting with you for 2 years. I remember your emails. We wanted to invest in your Series C funding round. You turned us down. You turned everyone down. You said you didn't need outside money. I didn't. We were profitable enough to grow on our own. Remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. He turned and looked at Bianca and my parents. Do you people have any idea what she's accomplished? Building a software company to a $7 billion valuation with no outside investors, no debt. That's practically unheard of in this industry. She's one of the most successful entrepreneurs of her entire generation. We're learning that, my father said quietly. More guests were walking over now, people who had been watching the TV or reading the news on their phones, all wanting to meet me, to shake my hand, to ask about Vantex, about the deal, about what came next. I answered their questions politely. Yes, the deal would close in about 6 months, pending approval. Yes, I would stay on as CEO of the new division. Yes, we were planning to expand into new markets. Yes, I was excited for what was coming. Through it all, my family stood frozen off to the side, watching this version of me, a version they never knew existed, talk with people who actually understood what I had spent 15 years building. I can't believe this, Bianca kept whispering. I can't believe this is happening. Believe it, Ms. Patel said, standing close by, clearly enjoying every second of watching this family fall apart. Your sister is one of the most successful people in this entire garden. Maybe the most successful person at this whole wedding. But she never said anything. She tried. You didn't listen. The wedding coordinator rushed over, looking stressed. Ms. Ashford, Bianca, we need to keep to the schedule. The caterers are ready to serve dinner. Right. Dinner. Bianca looked dazed, like she was still in shock. Everyone should go to their tables. The guests slowly began moving toward the reception area, but many kept glancing back at me, whispering to each other, checking their phones for more news about the deal. Quinn, my father said quietly. Can we talk? Privately? I don't think there's anything to talk about, Dad. Please. Just a few minutes. I checked my watch. 5 minutes. I have a call with executives from the buying company in an hour. I need to get back to my hotel. Your hotel? My mother asked. The Sterling Suite. I've been staying there all week finishing up the deal. But you said you were staying at a motel 10 miles away. No. Bianca said that. I never corrected her, because I wanted to see just how far she would take it. We moved off to a quiet corner of the garden, away from the other guests. My parents stood close together, looking somehow smaller than they had an hour ago. Bianca was crying quietly now. Craig looked like he wanted to disappear into the flowers. We're sorry, my mother said. Quinn, we're so sorry. We had no idea. You had every chance to have an idea, I said. You chose not to. That's not fair, Bianca whispered. Isn't it? You told an entire wedding full of people that I was an embarrassment. You called me a cautionary tale. You tried to set me up with entry-level jobs answering phones. You did all of that in front of 100 people, Bianca. And you didn't do it because you were worried about me. You did it because you enjoyed it. Because it made you feel important. I didn't know. You didn't want to know. There's a difference. I looked at each of them, one by one. My mother. My father. My sister. I built something extraordinary, I said. I built it from nothing. I built it while you were telling everyone I was a failure. I built it while you were making excuses for me to your friends. I built it while you were pitying me. And I did it all without your support, your belief, or even your basic respect. What can we do? My father asked, his voice barely a whisper. How can we make this right? I don't know if you can. I don't know if I want you to. I looked at my watch again. I need to go. I have that call. You're leaving? But the reception, the dinner. I was seated at table 7, Mom. Table 7, with the people you had to invite but didn't want to talk to. That tells me everything I need to know about where I stand in this family. We'll change your seat, Bianca said desperately. You can sit at the head table. You should be at the head table. I don't want to be at the head table. I don't want to be at this wedding anymore. I came because you're my sister, and I thought family was supposed to matter. I was wrong. You've all made it very clear, over the years, that I'm not really part of this family. That I'm an embarrassment you just tolerate. That's not true, my mother said, her eyes filling with tears. It is true. And now you're upset, not because you hurt me, but because your embarrassment turned out to be a billionaire. Because your failure daughter is more successful than you ever imagined. Because now you have to face the fact that you've been wrong about me for 15 years. I turned and started walking toward the parking lot. Quinn, wait. Bianca called after me. Please don't go. This is my wedding. I turned back, one last time. It's a beautiful wedding, Bianca. The venue is perfect. The flowers are gorgeous. The food will be excellent. I'm sure you got everything you wanted. Except my sister, she whispered, tears running down her face. You never wanted your sister, I said quietly. You wanted someone to look down on. Congratulations. You had that for 15 years. But it's over now. I walked to my car, my old, 15-year-old sedan that I loved, and drove away from Rosewood Manor. In my rearview mirror, I could see my family standing in the parking lot, watching me go, growing smaller and smaller until they disappeared completely. My phone buzzed the whole drive. Texts from my mother. From my father. From Bianca. All of them wanting to talk, to explain, to apologize. I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I called my assistant. Hey, Lily. Can you push my call with the executives back 30 minutes? Thanks. Also, I need a meeting with the PR team first thing tomorrow. The announcement has gotten more attention than we expected. We need a real media plan. Already on it, boss, Lily said. The interview requests are already flooding in. Every major outlet wants to talk to you. Tell them I'll consider interviews after the deal closes. Until then, we keep our heads down and focus on the transition planning. Got it. Anything else? No. Thank you, Lily. I hung up and kept driving through the city, toward my hotel, toward my call with the executives, toward my $3 billion future. My phone kept buzzing. More texts. Then voicemails. Then emails. My family wanted to talk, wanted to apologize, wanted to understand. But I didn't owe them anything. Not my time. Not my forgiveness. Not one single explanation. I had spent 15 years building something extraordinary while they told the whole world I was a failure. I had done it without their support, their belief, or their encouragement. I had done it completely alone. Now they knew. Now everyone knew. The bride's embarrassing sister was actually worth $3 billion. The family failure had built an empire. The look on Bianca's face the second that news broadcast started, that moment of pure, dawning shock, was worth more than any apology they could ever give me now. Because that moment was truth. Plain, undeniable truth. They had been wrong about everything for 15 years. And now they would have to live with that, forever. I pulled into the hotel parking garage, handed my keys to the valet, and rode the elevator up to my suite. The view from up there was incredible, the whole city spread out below, lights just beginning to twinkle as evening settled in. Somewhere out there, a wedding was still happening. Dinner was probably being served. Toasts were probably being made. Bianca was probably smiling for photos, pretending everything was fine. But everyone at that wedding knew the truth now. They all knew about the sister who got seated at table 7. The sister who was humiliated in front of 100 strangers. The sister who turned out to be worth $3 billion. I opened my laptop and joined the call. The screen filled with faces, vice presidents, lawyers, integration specialists, all ready to talk timelines, plans, and next steps. "Good evening, everyone," I said. "Thanks for your patience. Shall we get started?" And we did. Because that is what real success actually looks like. Not a perfect family. Not supportive parents. Not a sister who celebrates your wins. Just you, your work, and the empire you quietly build while everyone else is too busy underestimating you. I built that empire. $3 billion worth of proof that I was never the failure they thought I was. And that was enough. More than enough. If this story hit you right in the heart, you know exactly what to do. Subscribe to Twisted Family Revenge Stories, because the next story might hit even harder. See you in the next one.